I never cease to be amazed by the constantly changing world of selling, especially right now. I mean, we are at a point of such transition that techniques and strategies that people were using just a couple of years ago aren't working. I'm not talking about changes from pre-internet selling to post-internet selling. I'm talking about changes in just the past couple of years where so many changes have been happening at such a rapid pace that even a lot of the strategies that I talked about in videos just a couple of years ago really don't work. So in this video, I'm going to show you the top 13 sales techniques that actually work. Check it out. Number 1, the prospecting campaign. I feel like I've been talking about this a lot lately, but it is so insanely effective to be prospecting in a way that's not just picking up the phone and making cold calls, not just sending emails, and not just doing LinkedIn outreaches, or not just doing direct mail, but instead bringing all of those together in one cohesive strategy that actually allows the prospect to start to know who you actually are before they ever pick up the phone and actually start talking to you. Using a prospecting campaign, laying out all of the steps that you're going to follow is so key, and using every channel that you possibly can to get in front of people is going to make a huge difference on the effectiveness of all of your outreach. Number 2, cold email. I am obsessed with the effectiveness of cold email. And the reason that cold email is so effective as a tool is because, well, just think about it. How often do you answer the phone from a number that you don't know? Probably almost never, unless you're just really in sales and you're just fielding sales calls. But if you're actually a prospect, you ain't picking up that phone. And so cold email is really such an effective way to get in front of high-level decision makers because these people are connected to their phones all the time. Now, it doesn't mean that you just start blasting out emails to people using your constant contact and you just send out these huge messages to this huge group of people. You've got to really target it. You've got to personalize it. But cold email is so effective and is, by the way that we've grown so much of our business at our company using cold email strategies. I have so many other videos specifically on cold email, but it works so well. Number 3, introductions. This is an idea that I've been talking about for years, and it still works, and yet still so few salespeople actually really follow through on asking their clients and their network and even their prospects for introductions to other people that might be a fit. Asking the people in your world who like you or have a positive disposition towards you for introductions to other people that you might be able to help is going to be so effective. And by the way, this isn't just asking for referrals, but instead asking for introductions, where person A actually introduces you to person B. That introduction can be conducted by email, that's fine, but making that introduction is so much more effective than just having a name to reference when you ultimately make a cold call to someone that they told you to. Number 4, personalized outreach. Personalization is the name of the game in all forms of outreach nowadays. Every salesperson is doing a lot of different messaging. Every salesperson is trying to reach a lot of prospects. And so one of the ways to really stand out from your competitors is to show your prospects that you've done your homework, that you know who they are, you know their background, you know where they're located, you know their industry, you know all about them, not in a creepy way, of course, but in a way that is relevant to the conversation that you want to have. By doing truly personalized outreach, you are going to set yourself up for so much more success. And by the way, if you're in B2B sales, the best place to get so much of that personalization data is with LinkedIn. If you're using LinkedIn, ideally you're using LinkedIn Navigator, which is that paid account. They don't pay me to say that, but we use it, we live by it, and you can get so much powerful data on a prospect before you ever even get them on the phone or to respond to an email. Number 5, disqualification. I've been saying this for a long time now, but it has not changed in effectiveness. So many salespeople are still trying to persuade prospects to do work with them, or they're trying to convince them. But you know what? what you really want to be doing is disqualifying prospects as early on as you possibly can. So that way the people that have no interest in what you're talking about or aren't a fit right now, you move on and you're only focusing on those prospects that are actually a good fit. The number one limitation on a salesperson's effectiveness is their time. So you've got to be really militant about making sure that you're only getting in front of those people that are truly a good fit. Number 6, discussing budget. Talking about budget with prospects is so key. And by the way, this is a big difference from saying talking about price. Price is your price, you're just telling them. Budget is talking about money and making sure that you really are on the same page in terms of budget. So you might be talking about a range or asking them generally around the budget for solving these kinds of challenges, but it's not just talking about price. And you want to talk about budget before you present your solution. Make sure you're on the same page with them in terms of money before you're really going full in on presenting your solution. Number 7, decision-making process. One of the key pieces of critiques that some of our recent data showed that prospects had for salespeople was that salespeople did not understand the decision-making process in their companies. When a salesperson doesn't understand the prospect's decision-making process, we start to make these assumptions and we start to make a lot of mistakes around expectations that we had one way or the other. By understanding your prospect's decision-making process, which, by the way, if they're really interested in this conversation, they're going to be more than happy to share with you that decision-making process. And this doesn't mean saying, are you the decision maker? But instead, asking questions around the decision-making process. So, George, tell me, how do you plan to really be going about making a decision like this? They're going to be more than happy to share that decision-making process with you. Number 8, feedback loops. Feedback loops are so key to making sure that you're still continuously on the same page with the prospect. And so a feedback loop is simply just a little question that you're going to use to ask them after maybe you've had to explain something to make sure that you're on the same page. Do you understand what I mean by that? Now, time out for a second. Do you see what I just did there? I actually used a feedback loop. So maybe I'm in the middle of a presentation and I'm saying, so what we're going to be doing in this instance is X, Y, and Z. Does that make sense? And now you're giving them a chance to come back and be like, yeah, that makes sense. I love using the feedback loop of, is that cool? You know, if you're talking to a prospect who's a little more casual, you can just be talking about something and you're like, okay, so here's what we intend to do. Does that sound cool? And they're like, yeah, that sounds cool. That's fine. Little feedback loops along the way throughout your entire conversation are so key, especially if you've gone on for, let's say, 30 seconds of talking and you just want to bring them back into the conversation. You should be using feedback loops all the time. I always tell my clients, you want to be using at least 50 feedback loops during the course of a discovery conversation or during a presentation. Number 9, the constant feedback presentation. Constant feedback presentation is everything, and it's really basically using a presentation that has a ton of feedback loops in it. You're presenting to the prospect, and every time you present a new idea, you want to be pulling them back in with something like, hey, does that make sense based on what we've talked about so far? Or are we still on the same page based on the conversations that we've had? And what you're going to find is that prospects are either going to say, actually, you know what? No, that doesn't make sense, which is a really important thing to know now rather than let them walk away from the presentation. So you want to know if they're not on the same page. And if they are on the same page, now you're getting these little moments of buy-in. So that way they're more likely to ultimately close that sale. Constantly getting feedback throughout that presentation. Number 10, case study presentation. Case studies are everything in today's world. Prospects want proof. They want evidence that buying from you is actually going to do something positive for them. And case studies are the single best way to ensure that you are demonstrating that you can do what you say you can do. And they're so much more interesting than just you talking about a bunch of results. Instead, share with your prospects during that presentation some case studies of examples of how you helped one client achieve something. And by using those case studies, now you're pulling them in. It's like story time. Now they're on the same page, they're listening, they're engaged, and at the same time, you're sharing the results and you're demonstrating your proof. Number 11, clear and scheduled next steps. I've been talking about this a lot, but what I find is that still too few salespeople are really scheduling consistent, clear next steps. You've got to have clear and scheduled next steps in every selling interaction. So anytime you are ending a meeting with a prospect or you're ending a call, always schedule a clear and scheduled next step. It can be a really short call and it could be 3 months from now, I don't care. But make sure that it goes into the calendar. So that way it's much harder for them to cancel something than to just kind of not answer your call next time you check in. So using these clear and scheduled next steps are going to keep sales on track. So it's like the difference between a train driving on a track or just a bumper car kind of bumping all around. Most salespeople are just driving bumper cars, just following up, checking in. Instead, you want to keep it on a train, clear and scheduled next steps. Number 12. LinkedIn connections. LinkedIn connections are such a great way to both build your network, but also a great way to start to build relationships with those key people that you want to be in touch with. Now, you can't just make a LinkedIn connection to just any random person. I mean, you can, but that's unlikely to really work. But if you are doing it within the context of a prospecting campaign, using LinkedIn connections, showing them in the little message that you send to them that you know who they are, you've done your homework. Now they see your picture, they're more likely to connect with you and then ultimately do business with you in the long run. LinkedIn connections are so simple. Anytime you connect with anyone by phone or by email, use that LinkedIn connection, get connected to them. And by the way, if you switch jobs, you still have those connections. Really powerful. That becomes your database that you own. Number 13, hosted events. Tried and true. We love hosted events here. We do tons of hosted events for prospects, for clients. And what hosted events accomplish is the following. It's a great way to bring people together by providing them value, getting in front of your prospects. And at the same time, you have your clients who are there talking about how great you are and all the stuff you've done and how you've done such a great job for them. And now they're the ones doing the selling for you. So hosted events don't really have to be sales heavy. You want them to be really good content, something that your prospects are going to be interested to come to. And when you host that event, bring them all together, let your clients do the selling for you. You can just kind of kick back and get into conversations, talk to all these prospects, but really let the other people do the selling for you. Hosted events are one of the absolute keys to the growth in our business and so many of our clients. So there are the top 13 sales techniques that actually work. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an awesome free training on the data-driven approach to help you crush your sales goals. Just click right here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here. This is an in-depth training that will help you close more sales at higher prices, all while generating more meetings. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube and be sure to subscribe to my channel by clicking my little face right here to get access to a new video just like this one each week.